Hello, my wonderful spirit guides, and welcome back to the Did You Know That There's a Tunnel Under Ocean Boulevard album reaction. Of course, I am doing each song individually in individual videos. If you've been following already, then you'll know that already. If you haven't been following, then this video will be part of a playlist with all the songs from the album of me reacting to it. Of course, if I haven't reacted to them all yet, then there'll only be a few songs, but inevitably all the songs will be in there. Anyway, let's get into it. If you want to be a patron or follow me on Instagram, like, subscribe, blah 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 blah, like, links for in the description, and you can like and subscribe. Obvious, I think you know how to do that. I'm trying to get those bits out the way really fast, but I do want to mention them because of course I want to mention them. The 9th song on the album, Fingertips. And I actually have my glasses on for once, and I keep forgetting I've got earrings. Okay, Fingertips, let's go.
Tracing fingertips over plastic bag could extrapolate some small intention or two. Beat the extinction of telomeres. And if I do, will you be there with me? Sister, brother, Charlie, stop smoking. Will the baby be alright? Will I have one of mine? Carry a child, I guess I'll be fine. Idea the cocktail of things that twist neurons inside.
Wow.
They say there's irony in the music, it's a tragedy. Shame and crying rain on, get to you, save.
Feels like a follow-on from the last song.
Find your astral body, put it into my arms.
The music is very gorgeous. With those strings. Oh, the soft vocal.
Cause baby, I ran through a time when I felt you were doing it. I was in Monaco, I couldn't hear what they said on the telephone. Gave myself 2 seconds to cry. It's a shame that we died. Pulled me up by my waist, long hair to the beachside. Go out like you.
Wow.
Swim with the fishes, but sometimes it's just not your time. What kind of institutions that they made? Have a babe at 16 and die.
This is insane. This is insane.
Aaron ended up dead.
Wow.
I give myself 2 seconds to cry.
Okay.
Sunbather, moon chaser, queen of empathy.
She's really singing in that like soft higher range throughout the song. So vulnerable.
2 seconds to be me.
Oh, okay, thank God that's over. I thought Kintsugi was sad enough, and then there's Fingertips. 2 sad songs right after the other, and at least Kintsugi had, you know, some kind of beauty and positivity to it. I'm not saying that Fingertips doesn't. It's very normal. All the things she's saying make sense, but it's more sad. Right, I'm gonna try and get through these lyrics. Come on now, stop being a baby. Obviously I'm not being a baby, I'm just trying to not be too emotional, because it does, you know, if I get too emotional it makes things really hard actually, because I'm quite an emotional person really, but that's why I keep a lot of it locked up, because when the emotion comes out it's big, is quite huge. So, okay. I might have to have a tea break during this because this could be a long one. Again, so grateful I've not done this all in one sitting. I don't even know if I'd be able to, especially with these two last songs. When I look back, tracing fingertips over plastic bags, thinking, I wish I could extrapolate some small intention, or maybe just get your attention for a minute or two. I need to look what extrapolate means because I'm not sure if I know. All right, I need to be more relaxed as well because my back hurts already, probably because I'm stressed out. Extrapolate means, oh, estimate or conclude. Okay, extend. It's about extending something, right? I think it's quite mathematical and I suck at maths, so let's just ignore that for me. So anyway, yeah, I wish I could extrapolate. So I guess like figure out or estimate or understand some small intention to why I'm doing this. Why am I tracing the fingertips over the plastic bags? Or maybe it's something as simple as I'm just trying to get your attention for a minute or two. And that's interesting because obviously tracing things over plastic bags, it will make a crackly sound, won't it? So of course it's going to bring on attention. It's a sound that is quite obvious and maybe annoying to some. Without clicking it, I feel like in some ways this could be weirdly talking about her mum, because I know she hasn't got the best relationship with her mum. Maybe she didn't always have her mother's attention. There's another bit in the song that makes me think of her mum as well. But maybe this is her just trying to get her mother's attention, and maybe by doing something annoying or like silly is the only way she could do it. I'll have a look though. Oh, okay. Funnily enough, it wasn't me who brought up drugs this time. Someone has said Lana is tracing back to her younger years in which she would participate in drugs. Legal drugs are often sold in plastic bags. So maybe she's thinking like, maybe I could extrapolate some small intention, like maybe, you know, there's a reason for doing it. Maybe I could try and figure out like while I'm on this substance what things mean, or maybe I'm just trying to get your attention for a minute or two. So maybe it's like a guy who is giving her the drugs and she's just trying to be cool. I'll have a look. Lana wishes she could show all of the nuance of her work without being misunderstood. As stated on the closing track of her 2017 album Lust for Life, she wishes she could be taken seriously by so many people who she can't even get the attention of in the first place. Oh, okay, that makes sense too. Yeah, okay, that makes sense too. But I was kind of relating it back to the drugs as well. But then she could be thinking that, you know, she could be tracing her hand over the package and then being like thinking these things like, I wish I could do this, or just get your attention somehow, like how am I meant to do it, as she's just like narrating what she's doing at the time, which is running her fingertips over the plastic bags. Verse 2, will I die or will I get to the 10-year mark? Will I beat the extinction of telomeres? I don't know what that means, so I'm going to click that in a minute. And if I do, will you be there with me, father, sister, brother? I think, you know, she's saying, will I get to the 10-year mark? I wonder what that means. Like, will she still be alive in 10 years? And she's wondering if her, you know, family members such as her father, sister, and brother will be there with her too. But I'm going to click it. So, oh, here it says here, telomeres are sections of DNA at the ends of chromosomes. And I know that she did, what did she do? Like some sort of metaphysics or some sort of, she did something at uni, didn't she? She did some sort of like, she did philosophy and some sort of science, like physics or something. So I imagine she knows quite a bit. Telomeres are sections of DNA at the end of chromosomes. Each time a cell divides, the telomeres get shorter. When the telomere is exhausted, the chromosomes fall apart. The cell is no longer able to divide and dies. Telomere shortening is a factor in the general aging process of organisms. Some research in biology there's like weird overlapping writing here, which is annoying. There's like some overlapping writing on Genius. I think it's like a bug or something. They do something to create special enzymes which may lengthen telomeres and in turn expand our human lifetimes. With some even saying that we may be in the last couple generations to experience death. That's mad. So she's kind of talking about like, you know, will I make it to the 10-year mark? You know, maybe will I make it to the next generation where I can beat the extinction of telomeres? You know, will I make it to that point where we won't die anymore? And will all my loved ones be there with me? Okay, that makes a whole lot more sense. Lana Del Rey has discussed being fascinated by this research in an interview with Billie Eilish for The Interview magazine. She talks about her writing process for Kintsugi and Fingertips. Lana says, I go on a 7-minute rant with a repetitive melody. Yes, she does. And I was thinking, like, it was interesting. She was using the same tone a lot. The melody was just very like, da, 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 da. You know, it really feels like a rant, like, but not in a bad way at all. Just an outpour of like, I need to say all this. I just want to talk. I just want to get it all out. 7-minute rant with a repetitive melody. It would be exactly what I was thinking about, mostly family and whether everything was going to pan out all right in the end. I've been reading so many articles that my father and I followed up on over the last 10 years about the discovery of telomeres and extinction of death, and how we've always been edging towards this point in science where that would be a possibility. Yeah, interesting. Lana has often mentioned she is somewhat terrified with the idea of death. In addition, she has spent the last several years of COVID spending more time connecting with her family, which has been grounding and healing for her. In this line, she asks her family if they would still be so connected if they knew they had infinite time on Earth. Oh, that is really special, isn't it? And really deep. Wow. Yeah, maybe like our closeness and our sort of anxiety to see, you know, friends or families, because we know that we're not here for the longest time. And I'm very much similar with her, with the idea of death. And I wasn't like that bad about it until like recently, but in some ways it's hit me in another way. It's really weird. Sometimes I'm like scared of it, but then I'll fall into a phase of being like inviting it, which is terrible, but that's just what happens. Life is a roller coaster. Anyway, let me move on. Verse 3, Charlie, stop smoking. Caroline, will you be with me? Will the baby be all right? Will I have one of mine? Can I handle it even if I do? It's said that my mind is not fit, or so they say, to carry a child. I guess I'll be fine. So she's saying Charlie stop smoking because she doesn't want Charlie to, die early. Caroline, will you be with me? Asking Caroline, will you be here? I think Charlie is her brother. And then, Caroline is her sister, right? I think. And then she says, will the baby be all right? And then, says Lana is worrying about the future of her niece, Phoenix. I love that name. But Phoenix is Caroline's daughter, whom is mentioned in both Blue Banisters, There's a Baby on the Way, and Sweet Carolina from Lana's album Blue Banisters. Yes. And then obviously goes on to say, well, I have one. Can I handle it even if I do? Questioning herself what she'll be like as a mother. And she's thinking like people who have criticised her might say she's not fit to have a child or even to carry one. But then she has a slight, bit of confidence. Like it's like a medium amount of confidence where she goes, I guess I'll be fine. She's saying, I guess I'll be all right. She's not put off the idea of having kids, but she's still not sure she'll be great, or fine or good. But she's like, I guess I'll be all right. I guess I will. Which is actually hopeful to me. Lana feels a certain type of hope, or even knows that she'll be okay and able to have her own children, for example. Yes, exactly. That bit really got me as well when I read that bit, because it was like, I just want her to be a mum so bad now, just so she knows what it's like, and it will give her a different view on life. And I'm not saying that people have to have children at all, but like for those who want children, it does change your life. It just does. There's so many cute little birds outside my window. Sorry, I know it's silly, but I'm just like seeing them all fluttering by, and they're tiny and so adorable. It's just nice. It wasn't my idea, the cocktail of things that twist neurons inside, but without them, I'd die. Interesting, the cocktail of things that twist neurons inside. So maybe a cocktail of substances even that are twisting the neurons inside, but without them I'd die. Maybe without her vices she'd die. Without those sort of things she'd die anyway, because she wouldn't be enjoying life. I don't know, maybe I'll click that. In this line, Lana refers to the use of psychiatric drugs, a theme already addressed in her poetry book Violet. Violet bent. Right, Violet bent backwards over the grass. In fact, she affirms that it is not her decision to take multiple medicine dosages, but that without them she could not live, hinting that they are fundamental for her in order to manage her emotions without tragic implications. Ooh, okay. So it's less to do with like intentional, like recreational substances, and more to do with like maybe antidepressants, anti-anxiety, antipsychotic, mood stabilizers sort of drugs. And yeah, okay, that makes total sense. And you know, without them I'd die, not because she can't literally physically survive, but because she might not mentally survive and not want to be here anymore, basically. They say there's an irony in music. It's a tragedy. I see nothing Greek in it, because, you know, Greek is the Greek gods and goddesses and all the Greek mythology, is all very dramatic and tragic and so on. In the last decade, LANA's controversial discography has been defined by some even ironic, such as, for example, by the magazine Vice, which defined LANA as the greatest American satirist, stating that the themes addressed by the singer were nothing more than satirical critique of what was the subculture of the American dream and Hollywood decadence. In this line, LANA seems to respond to those who have defined her music as ironic, stating that the themes expressed in her music were anything but satirical and that they had the intention of being tragic, probably because they represented the direct experience of the singer. She also adds that there is nothing Greek about her tragedy. Yeah, as in, like, I guess with Greek mythology, it can be quite beautiful and amazing, and there could be triumphs and morals and lessons, right? And she's saying there is no lesson in the tragedies I've been through. The Greek tragedy was in fact a theatrical representation that had the purpose of giving a moral lesson to its spectators, and which handled them such as justice, equity, and God's will. LANA, on the other hand, seems to suggest that the tragedy she experienced and expressed in her musical lyrics does not have any important moral teaching, but rather that it is more the narration of an extremely personal experience. Absolutely, exactly what I said, but just put in much better words. It is a lot easier to type things than just ramble off the top of the head, but I still thought that was really good. I'm not trying to like downplay that in any way, and I couldn't have written it better. I'm not saying it like that at all. But yeah, it's nice to read that and be like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I meant. Right, yeah, give me a mausoleum in Rhode Island with Dad, Grandma, Grandpa, and Dave. You know, she wants to be with them when she's passed away, in Rhode Island, isn't that in New York? Or somewhere near New York, I think. Anyway, who hung himself real high in a national park sky. It's a shame, and I'm crying right now. Yeah, and obviously we talked about her uncle who passed away on the mountain, which is extremely sad. I'm crying right now to get to you, save you. If I take my life, find your astral body, put it into my arms, give you 2 seconds to cry, take you home, I'll give you a blanket. The spirit can sit and watch TV beside me, because baby, I ran through a time when I felt you were doing it. Oh, that's interesting. So it's like she's saying, you know, if I could take my life and then shoot up, grab you, and then I'll go back into her own body, bring her uncle's spirit or some loved one's spirit to be by her side and be with her, so she can really know, you know, because we always say like, oh, they're always with you, but you don't actually know, you can't actually see them, so you have to believe that, and so on. So she's saying she wants to be able to see the astral body and bring it back, so she knows they're there. She wants to spend time with them again, basically. And then she says, because baby, I ran through a time when I felt you were doing it. You know, here it seems like she's saying she ran through a time, as in maybe she was running away through a time when they were trying to be by her side, and now that she's almost like wishing that she didn't run away in those times, because she wants to feel them next to her. I get that. I think that makes sense, but like, to me, that makes sense. She ran away during the times that she did feel that they were trying to be with her, and now that she's not running, she doesn't quite feel them with her, and she wants to feel them with her. Something like that. She says, I couldn't handle it. I was in Monaco. I couldn't hear what they said on the telephone. I had to sing for the prince in 2 hours. Sat in the shower, gave myself 2 seconds to cry. It's a shame that we die. Oh, I just love that as an ending little lyric, you know. It's a shame that we die. Plain and simple. And that's a very interesting thing here. Like, you know, she found out the news and she had to sing for the Prince of Monaco in 2 hours. And she's like, she just sat in the shower, gave herself 2 seconds to cry, and then sucked it all back in. And she's like, it's a shame that people die, you know? It's just matter of fact, isn't it? But it's so sad. Like these bits when she keeps saying, gave myself 2 seconds to cry, that those bits really got me as well, because like, it is that kind of, sometimes you're not in a place where you can just be crying your eyes out. You have to just have those couple seconds and suck it up, and that's hard. You're carrying so much pain in you, but yeah, got to be done like that sometimes. Then this verse very much interested me. She said, when I was 15 naked, next door neighbours did a drive-by. Like a drive-by, when you think of a drive-by, they just drive by the house, right? So they must have seen her naked, right? But then pulled me up by my waist, long hair, to the beachside. You know, maybe she was, you know, sneaking out, basically. Like when you think of This Is What Makes Us Girls, like that she'd sneak out. Something I very much relate to in my teen years as well. Anyway, but naked? Why is she naked? I guess it's just showing how wild she was, you know, kind of like careless, wild, free, teenage. Like, I wanted to go out like you, swim with the fishes. So obviously swim with the fishes is a saying, and it's actually kind of like a New York saying, I'd say, you know, I'll leave you swimming with the fishes. But anyway, you know, like it means dying, obviously, but dying in the water, or being at least, or maybe just dying and being trapped in the water, you know, that could mean drowning, whatever. I wanted to go out with like you, swim with the fishes that he caught on Rhode Island beaches, but sometimes it's not your time. That's true. It's true. It's like she was 15, young, going to the beach, and she wanted to, you know, had a moment where she was in the ocean or something and was like, I wish I could just pass away, simply pass away, you know. But then she's like, but it just wasn't my time. It didn't work, you know. It didn't work, basically. I'm going to click it and see what's said. Lana almost drowned while going swimming until her neighbours came and saved her. Oh, okay. Seemingly revealing that this was a unaliving attempt. Well, that's kind of what I thought, you know. She tried to, but it just wasn't her time. Her Uncle Dave's obituary mentioned his connection to Rhode Island and fishing. To swim with a fish is a common phrase that means to die, exactly. Okay, so like 15, naked, yeah, next door neighbour did a drive-by, pulled me up by my waist, long hair, to the beach side. Oh yeah, pulling her out the water. Oh, this is very, very real for me, because when I was about 20, I did the same thing. In the winter, pitch dark, took myself out to the sea. But it wasn't my time. Oh, just another thing to relate on, and it's not great. But I'm good with that. It's just I couldn't keep going without mentioning that, because dark times. I'm making light of it, I know, but it's easier that way. Ah, okay. Yeah. Right, anyway, Caroline, what kind of mother was she to say I'd end up in institutions? It's like she's talking to Caroline, like, Caroline, what kind of mother was she to say I'd end up in institutions? Talking about her mum being like, why, you know, what sort of mother was she like to actually say that about her own child? Like, when as a parent, you should be looking after me, protecting me, so I don't end up in institutions. But you're treating me like I'm not even your child. I'm just like an individual that is crazy and has no one, basically. And then she says, all I wanted to do was kiss Aaron Green and sit by the lake, twisting lime into the drinks that they made, have a babe at 16 in the town I was born in and die. You know, that's all she wanted to do. And her mother's there saying, like, you're going to end up in institutions, when really this isn't anything crazy at all. It seems like a simple life. Of course, having a baby at 16 is young, but I had a baby at 17. I was pregnant at 16. And of course it's difficult and different, but I love my daughter just as any mum does, you know, any good mum at least, or any, you know, loving mum. Doesn't have to be good, just as long as you're loving. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Aaron Green, like Lana, is from Lake Placid, New York. Green was born in 1983 and Lana in 1985. Green passed away at a young age of 23 from an automobile accident. How very freaking sad. And then here, Lana expresses her desire for wanting to have a normal life, having children, living and dying in her own hometown rather than being all over the place and with no children. She just wants to enjoy the simple things in life in peace. Yes, of course. And then this verse, Aaron ended up dead and not me. And, it, you know, that's sad because she just talked about how she tried to unalive herself at a young age. And then this young boy, like, he wasn't trying to do that, but he did die. And it just shows how weird and sadistic life can be, you know, just like, and maybe it has nothing to do with being sadistic or weird or dark, and it's just life. There's no reason. It's just what happens. But that's not going to feel great for her, is it? And then she goes, what the F's wrong in your head to send me away, never to come back? And I think that's, of course, about her mum, you know, being like, what is wrong with you to do that? And I suppose as well, like, her trauma from her mum is really starting to pipe up here. And honestly, relatable. I've been going through it with the same situation. I don't want to say too much online though, because believe it or not, some things are still private. Even though I'm so open. But yeah. Anyway, what the F's wrong in your head? Send me away, never to come back. And yeah, I was about to say, like, seeing her sister be a parent and seeing how she is as a parent, or like what, you know, I don't know, being around young children and seeing them grow and knowing that, like, you could never treat them the way that, you know, maybe she was treated. It enhances those pains more from your own childhood. Yeah, she's just questioning it. And then exotic places and people don't take the place of being your child. I give myself 2 seconds to cry. Yeah, exotic places. I wonder what that means. Like, you know, being sent to exotic places, or she's gone off to exotic places. The mum did, like, going off, and people don't take the place of being your child. So maybe she's saying, like, her mum has, like, adopted other people into her life and treats them more like children than they treated Lana. This is me kind of reaching here. But then I give myself 2 seconds to cry, 2 seconds again just to cry about this pain and then to move on. I'm going to click it. Lana was sent away to a boarding school in Kent, Connecticut when she was 14 or 15 to get sober from alcoholism. Without being able to come home, she was sent to live with a host family in Santander, northern Spain, right after she turned 16. Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, okay. So sent off to exotic places, and people don't take the place of being your child. But what does that mean then? And people don't take the place of being your child. I don't know. I didn't know she went to live in Spain. That's interesting, because I saw her play live in Barcelona. How horrible. Like, also, like, not to be, like, rude or anything, but, like, where was her dad at this time? Like, you know, where was her dad? Because I know she's got a good relationship with her dad, and maybe they've healed a lot, but just curious. Gosh, really traumatic thing she's gone through though, and being sent away is a abandonment feeling. Even if it's not the parent leaving her, it is still complete abandonment, and not just abandonment, pure rejection of a parent. And wow, like, and it makes you wonder, well, why did she get into alcoholism? Why did she feel all these dark things, you know? Could the parenting have something to do with it? I imagine so. Give myself 2 seconds to cry, let it crash over me like the waves in the sea. Call me Aphrodite as they bow down to me. like the waves bow down to her. That's interesting. Here, Lana refers to herself as Aphrodite, the ancient Greek goddess of sexual love and beauty, identified with Venus by the Romans. She was known primarily as a goddess of love and fertility and occasionally presided over marriage. Yeah, interesting. But then also let it crash over me like the waves in the sea, call me Aphrodite as they bow down to me. Gives me an interesting thought of her being on stage. You know, she might have cried 2 seconds before she got on stage. And then she goes out there on the stage and, you know, she lets the audience wave of, you know, the ocean of people crash over her and overwhelm her like waves in the sea, you know, maybe take her away from all that pain. And she's like, call me Aphrodite as they bow down to me, you know, like her fans are adoring her. And I don't mean it in a weird way, like bowing, like, you know, Queen Mother. But so, yeah, of course. But I mean, you know, she's also saying it like she is loved on such a grand scheme in that way by her audience, but she's still in pain sometimes. She still has a lot of traumas. But anyway, at verse 10, last bit here, sunbather, moon chaser, queen of empathy, I give myself 2 seconds to breathe and go back to being a serene queen. I just need 2 seconds to be me. That's a hard-hitting verse. You know, sunbather, like they're lying in the sun, you know, catching the rays, but then moon chaser as well, like she loves the night and like there's something spiritual about that and witchy. And then queen of empathy, like she feels all of the things. And then, you know, she gives herself 2 seconds to breathe and feel it all, and the day and the night, you know, and she just gives herself that moment. And then she goes back to being a serene queen, which is very calm, and maybe doesn't crack too much emotion. And then she says, I just needed 2 seconds to be me, which is like sad because it's saying I needed 2 seconds to be myself, meaning when she's the serene queen, it's not exactly herself. Who she really is a crying little girl, you know, who needed her mother and misses her loved ones who have passed away. And wants a baby and so on. So she's struggling here, but she is having those moments to breathe. I just hope those 2 seconds can extend and she can, you know, really let all those emotions out like she has in this song, to be honest. I think this is a really healing project for her, and it's hitting me at a time where I need it too. So it's pretty amazing. But anyway, the next song is going to be Paris, Texas. I wonder if there'll be a lighter note to it because I need an uplifting sound now. And of course, this video is crazy long again with 42 minutes in, you know, real time. And of course, it'll be edited for you guys, but still, that's a long time. But anyway, I shall see you in the next one. Bye.